Former PSL referee Ncobo is one angry man. He's withdrawn as a contender for the position of Safa president, leaving the way wide open for incumbent Danny Jordaan to take up the reins again. Ncobo and Jordaan were supposed to go up against each other at the association's elective congress in Sandton. Ncobo says he was threatened. eNCA's sports reporter Tshepo Thobane has been following the story for us. He joins us now live. Tshepo, of course, there's lots of back and forth about what's happening, who's doing what, who's saying what. We spoke to Ncobo on the telephone after he left that congress. Let's listen to that and then we'll talk to you.
Delegates threatening me, throwing insults and throwing threats. And I raised it with the chairperson of the electoral committee who was chairing that particular session. And all that he did was to plead for people to tone down their anger and all those things instead of asking people to acknowledge and apologize for threatening me. So that just tells you what kind of an organization this is.
What were they saying?
I can't repeat the word that were used.
You talk about
I can't.
You talk about an unlawful process in this election. Tell us exactly what you mean. What is the unlawful process?
Well, the very same electoral committee that presided over this process was unlawfully appointed. They know. None of the constitutionally prescribed deadlines were met. There are people in the lineups intended for voting who are not eligible to stand because some of them have criminal records. None of the vetting processes that are supposed to take place have taken place. So every single thing that constitutes a lawfully convened Congress has been violated. I can't tacitly give my approval to such a fraudulent scam by participating in such a process. That's the reason why I had to pull out.
Spoke to Ncobo a little earlier. So Tshepo, of course, you were at that elective congress. He says he was threatened. What did you see?
Okay, hi, Shahan. First of all, during the Congress, during the voting of the presidency, the media was not allowed. But it's interesting, you know, with the way things are unfolding. We expected Ncobo to give a good challenge, you know, at the elections. And unfortunately, most of us were left disappointed with the way he walked out. In fact, before we touch on further about that issue, immediately we spoke to President Danny Jordaan on that statement that Mr. Ncobo made that he was threatened, and this is what Danny Jordaan had to say.
It's nonsense. Here you are witness to this election. You are sitting in the room. You look for yourself. We have in this room the electoral committee. Some of these men are senior advocates. They acted as judges in the Supreme Court in this country. In this room we have representatives from FIFA. So it's your choice. You can pick whose opinion you want to listen. You listen to a Supreme Court judge, you listen to the FIFA representatives, or you listen to an opinion that's not based on anything.
I mean, he's quite clear. It's nonsense, he says, so he probably didn't witness. But let's be honest, these two men don't like each other.
Yes, Shahan. Let's maybe quickly look at the build-up before today's elective Congress. Here's a man that was the sole challenger to Dr. Jordaan. And he made a lot of promises that some of us thought that, you know, here's a guy that can bring some sort of, at least push him all the way, you know. But with the way he did, yes, he's talking about threats. We were not there. We did not witness those things, but he knows, this is, Ncobo knows how the South African football works. He has been a general manager of football. So for me, the way he left because of threats, because of the unfair process that is mentioning. In fact, yesterday, there was an urgent court interdict to stop this Congress from happening. So unfortunately, it did not go AC's way, where the South Gauteng High Court dismissed that application. So you can see from day one, remember the elections were supposed to happen in March. They were postponed because ACE was really pushing and fighting the processes within Safa. But now, with the way he left, I mean, you know, it's unfair. It leaves a bitter taste at the end of the day, because at least, although coming into the elective Congress, we knew that he is unlikely to lose. But the way he lost the Congress, I mean, it's disappointing, really.
So Danny Jordaan is going to be the president whether anyone likes it or not. I mean, some would argue that he's managed to turn things around at Safa, getting a 23 million rand profit. Is he the right man for the job? What are analysts saying?
Shahan, that's a very good point you're mentioning in terms of the money that he has managed to bring into Safa. But, you know, unfortunately for Safa, Safa is mirrored by the performance of the national teams. That is, the first team is Bafana Bafana. And ever since he took over from the national team in 2013, Bafana Bafana have never qualified for the World Cup, which is like the biggest football tournament in the world. So yesterday we spoke to him earlier. He said this is something that is looking to change. You know, the next World Cup after the 2018 World Cup next month is the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. So we'll see. It remains to be seen how he's going to really get our football at the right place. In terms of administration, is one thing, but at the end of the day, people remember the performance of the national teams. Yes, to be fair to him, the national women's team is performing very well. They are winning things, qualifying for major tournaments, but that's that. It's high time that South Africa have teams that can compete, not just qualify. Especially looking at Bafana Bafana, like I'm saying, they have to go to the World Cup. I mean, the last time we were at the World Cup was in 2010, and we did not qualify. We hosted the tournament. So there's a big challenge ahead of him. It remains to be seen whether he's the right person or what.
In the interest of fair reporting, let's talk about Ncobo and whether he is actually squeaky clean like everyone makes him out to be. I mean, Safa says he's brought the organization into disrepute and that he should be challenged for that as well.
You know, they are saying that because, remember, the elections were supposed to be in March. They were postponed because at some stage, I remember, before the elections, Ncobo was busy holding press conferences, telling us that he's got some debt on Safa, on Danny Jordaan. But we waited for that evidence. You know, this was an opportunity for him to really tell us what is happening within the Safa structures. And with the way he left, I mean, like I'm saying, it leaves a bitter pill to swallow. If you look at his record, I mean, he's been at Safa regional structures at development level in the Eastern Cape. He was a PSL referee. He was a general manager at PSL. And after, when he left actually as a general manager of PSL, a lot of us thought that he was pushed, you know. So we don't really know what was going on with Ncobo. And at some stage, before the elections, we were not even sure whether he's going to challenge Jordaan or what, because one minute he was going to be running for the presidential, and the next minute he's not. So he was like a bit of touch and go. He's not a person that you can say he's confident. This is what we are expecting from him. He's like all over the place, if I put it like that.
So, I mean, he's basically pulled out the red card for this entire electoral process. He doesn't want to say what his next step is going to be, whether he's going to go to court and actually challenge it, though.
Yes, that's what we actually interesting to see, what is going to be happening after this, if he's going to take this matter further, because if you make allegations like threats, those are serious threats, those are serious allegations that you have to take forward if you feel that you are within your rights to take them forward. So we'll see in the next couple of days whether, I mean, he's going to be following up on them or what. And another interesting thing, a lot of us were having, you know, our own opinions that maybe this was just all a publicity stunt for him. He just wanted to be in the limelight, in the public thing, in the spotlight. And then from there, maybe there's something big coming from him in terms of other businesses. So we'll see how this thing is going to be unfolding.
If that was the case, it's actually worked. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. That was our sports reporter at Tshepo Thobane.